Welcome to the Building a Better You podcast, presented by the Garner Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals. I'm Nick Spindler with Community of Hope Ministries.
And I'm Chris Morgan with Grow Local Realty.
The goal of this podcast is to help young professionals develop and grow into successful business people in their communities.
In each episode, we will talk with local business leaders to provide strategies and tips to help our listeners.
So let's dive right in. Welcome back to Building a Better You. We are excited. This week we have with us in studio Neal Issacs with VR Business Brokers. So thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So we'll start off, VR Business Brokers. I'll admit when I first met you, I had no idea what that was. So can you explain to us what you do?
Yeah. Well, most people don't know what a business broker is.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I do through my story. I moved to Garner in 2003. I bought a business and I ran it for 5+ years. And then I was like, this is good, but I'm ready to do something else. Didn't want my employees to know I want to sell, didn't know what to tell my landlord, my vendors. I was just kind of stuck. Yeah. And then I learned about this person who is a business broker. And I don't know if you ever watched the movie Pulp Fiction, but there's a guy that shows up and he's like the fixer guy. He's like, I'm going to take care of this. Some guy just showed up in the darkness of night, came after I closed. My employees weren't there. He's like, I can fix this. I can sell this business. Nobody's going to know. We'll get the deal done. Yeah. And that was the first time I ever met a business broker. That was 2016. No, I'm sorry, that was 2008. And I ended up selling that business, Garner Business. And I now, fast forward, 15+ years, I'm in that role. I'm going to the people's offices after dark or whenever the employees are gone. And I'm telling them, I know on how to do this. We'll get it sold. We'll get you on your next adventure. And it's kind of like a real estate agent. You guys are real estate agents, except imagine your best listing ever. You can't tell anybody where it is.
Really?
That's the challenge. Everything's confidential.
So are you saying like they don't even have a chance to come like check out the location or anything like that?
The business buyers do find out which business it is, but we make them do this dance.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Like we just listed a amazing bottle shop in Wake County.
Gotcha.
Could be a number of them. Sign some paperwork. We'll talk about.
Right. So you make sure that they're legitimately interested and legitimately have maybe even a chance to buy it before you give them too much information?
Correct.
Okay.
Gotcha.
We have to disclose to the buyer which business it is, but we don't know who's going to be the one. So we make them jump through a bunch of steps
right,
to find if it makes sense. And then we share what's appropriate. So I'm a matchmaker.
So when you're doing the sharing as far as to other businesses out there that's looking to buy that said listing, is it just word of mouth? Or is it just a bunch of business brokers coming together and having conversation? How does that part work?
To find the buyers?
Yes.
Buyers are easy to find. Everybody wants to buy a business. If it makes money, it's going to pay for itself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a very robust marketing plan to find the buyers. But there are listing sites. There's the equivalent of Zillow for business buyers.
Okay.
There's social media. There's email marketing. Similar ways that you market your real estate, we market businesses.
Okay. Because I was like, for us, TMLS is kind of our thing, but it was just interesting how y'all did that. So I like it.
Yeah, it's a unique thing for sure.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Hey, I've got a house. I can't tell you where it is, but I can tell you it's got 1,200 square foot, 3 bedrooms. Like, you want to jump through some hoops? They'd be like, no.
Yeah, exactly. That's too funny.
That is super interesting. And like I said, before I met you, I had no clue what that was even about. And so the one thing that I love about you and that I've seen in, the about 6 years or so that I've known you is you do a really good job of being able to communicate what you do, who you are, why you're valuable. You have kind of built your brand to where now, like if I knew someone that had a business, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know a guy.
Sure.
And so we wanted to talk to you about what you did to build that brand because as a young professional that's getting out there, that can be really important. Is being able to communicate who you are and what you do and why you have value.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the things that you did, because you said you weren't looking to get in this career from the start. So when you made that decision and were starting out, what were some things that you did to help build your brand?
Yeah. Well, I'll address that in two ways. First thing you said is you do something very complicated. How do you kind of clarify that for people? And then you said, how do you get that name out to everyone? So the first part of that, when I started this journey and I did a bunch of training, one of the wisest things that someone said is you got to distill down what you do. People don't understand. You just said it. People don't know what you do. The most simplistic description of what I do is we sell other people's businesses, not our own. I'm not buying them and reselling them. I'm selling other people's businesses. So I will say that all the time.
Yeah.
And my brand, VR Business Brokers, has sold more businesses in the world than anyone. So we have these simplistic statements that just say, if you need this, this is what we do. Now, we do valuations too, but we sell two things.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like when Gordon Ramsay goes to a restaurant, he cuts the menu down.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We sell two things. And so you'll hear me say that at every function I go to. This is what we do. If you need these services, if you know somebody who needs these services, that's all we do. Yeah. And then we communicate with our deal partners like, we don't do law. We don't do accounting. We need you for that.
Yeah.
So that's how we can work together. So as far as what converting that message, that's what we do. Keep it super, super simple.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as getting it out there and getting it in front of the masses, that's a whole different topic. So you want to talk about branding?
Yeah, let's go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with branding, I'll talk about it in the venue that we know each other from the chamber, the Garner Chamber. I go to all of the chamber functions that I can. And a big part of what I'm doing is I call it a digital shadow.
Okay.
So you've got a young child. I don't know, Chris, you have?
I do not.
Yeah. Our time is valuable. I may show up at one of these functions for 10, 15 minutes. I know when my kid's going to bed, I want to be home before he goes to bed.
Absolutely.
If I'm there for 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to make the most of that time. I'm going to take a lot of pictures. I'm going to highlight the business. And then later, I'm going to go back online. I'm going to post those pictures on social, tag everyone I know, and I'm going to reach more people. I'm going to make sure that this VR logo is in the pictures, right? That's all very intentional.
Yeah.
And when I'm tagging other people, I'm kind of grooming them. It's a social touch,
right?
To say, hey, we're all in this together. I want to shine some light on you. You know what I do. I know what you do, and so I'm just pushing that message a little bit farther. I'm taking the time that I spend at the events. I'm pushing it a little bit farther. I mean, that's an example of event marketing, and then push the second life on digital.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big picture. Like my strategy is how can I use digital to push it farther.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you said about. It doesn't have to be a long time to be something that can add a lot of value. That you can go to an event for 10 to 15 minutes and you can get a lot out of those 10 to 15 minutes.
Be strategic. Yeah. We could talk a lot about how to network in person. A lot of people do it wrong.
Yeah.
They get trapped in the corner with the person that's there, not to network, but for other reasons.
So give us, if you could give us maybe your top 3 networking hacks.
Yeah.
Networking hacks, just be intentional. When you go to a networking event, if there's 100 people there, there's probably, your goal is to figure out who are the 3 people in this room that I actually want to spend more time on and build more relationships with after this.
Okay. Yeah.
And then to be polite, but don't spend as much time with the people that you can't help as much.
Right.
So to hit these events and to just be intentional about who you're connecting with, and then to be consistent. I live here in Garner. I'm passionate about this chamber, so I'm at as many of these as possible. I can't be at everything.
Yeah.
But the ones that I've committed to being involved in, I have a few other networks. Very consistent. Those folks are seeing me there all the time. I'm deepening those relationships with them.
Right.
And then I mentioned this digital counterpart, but to make the time you invest in real life, to make it go farther with social media, I do a lot of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say you do a really good job with that. I know even sometimes the events, afterwards, I'm like, man, Neal is doing a better job putting this out on social than the people that hosted the event.
Yeah.
I bring my selfie arm.
Yeah.
And I have a joke about my 90-day selfie class.
Okay.
90-day selfie class.
Yeah. Have you taken my 90? The joke is you don't need 90 days to learn how to take
Okay.
But when someone's like trying to take a selfie and they're screwing it up, I'm like, oh, you need to take my 90-day selfie class.
Okay. We didn't call it selfies back in the day, so
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that is a really good tip of getting yourself out there, especially how you said you're making sure to be intentional about tagging those other businesses.
Yeah, and connect with people. You get a stack of business cards after you go home or the next day. You're not just posting it online, but the people that you do want to connect with, you're connecting with them on LinkedIn. You're adding them to your database, the ones that you want to build relationships with. And then the next time you see them, you're remembering them, and you pick up where you left off. I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So is your plan when you meet these said business owners or, other people in business, or is your plan to then convert them to over social media wise of where they're friends with you on Facebook and next y'all can go out for coffee or play golf or whatever the case may be?
Yeah.
Is that your ultimate goal for that?
Everybody could either become I could serve them as a client, or they could know somebody that's going to say to them, I need to sell this business. Do you know anybody?
Yeah.
I want to be the person that they think about. And on a superficial level, it's the guy they saw on Facebook. But at a more meaningful level, it's the guy that met them and connected them with someone else, or the guy that remembered the name of their kid. So that's what networking is. It's getting to know people, and you can't have an intimate bond with every person you meet. It's this spectrum of, clickbait to your best friend.
Yeah.
But the more you do this, and the more you kind of invest in time with people, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
I love that.
It sounds, you do invest a lot into this and a lot into the intentionality and the branding. So how do you think your brand impacts your business? Like, why is that so important to you?
It is one of my marketing vehicles. We have a lot of marketing vehicles. We're doing radio right now. We've got radio ads on radio. And I kind of have a marketing background. I sold digital advertising before I was a business broker. So my personal brand in networking, going to networking events, and then the brokers on my team going to networking events, it's all a marketing vehicle. It's one of many marketing channels or levers that we pull. Yeah. But we're in the people business, right? Those relationships, at the end of the day, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Oh, he used the famous phrase.
Yeah. And even if they hear us on the radio, they're going to need to know, like, and trust us. And so one thing I learned from when I was in advertising is maybe they see your ad or they hear your ad. It's when they see it and then they hear it and then they meet you. That's when they're like, oh, my God, this guy Neal is everywhere. Yeah. That's when they're going to convert, to use another marketing term. Right. So that's kind of how it all jives together. They just see me at a networking event, we're not going to do business. But if I just keep hitting them over the head with presence in a good way, in a non-spammy way, eventually they'll be like, oh, that guy Neal, he's everywhere. Yeah.
When I say you are good about the non-spammy, that is huge. Like, I can't tell you like how many newsletters I've unsubscribed from and all this of someone that got my card at an event.
It's got to be genuine. Yeah.
So that and that part's huge, is that you need to build that relationship, and if you eventually you want to get clients, but if you're showing somebody that's all you're thinking about, then you're probably not going to get very far. Like you mentioned, like remembering people's names. Like I know you don't do that just because you're like, oh, if I do this, I'll get a sale. Like, you do it because you genuinely care about people. And I'm
awful with names, which is not good.
I've learned that I would make a note in my phone. So like even like my neighbors, I moved into a new neighborhood earlier this year, and I have a note of neighbors I've met and like their kids' names. Yes, so because I'm the same way, I'm terrible with names. So I literally have like a neighborhood note in my phone of like, here's all the names of people I met, so I can like look it up real quick before I go to their house.
You took the extra time because it's important to learn it, and that means something to those to your neighbors. That makes them more than just the guy that's my neighbor. It's
Right.
Bob or
Yep,
whoever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of networking within starting your business.
Oh yeah.
So during the last 2 years with COVID, how did that impact your business itself? Being able to, I guess, not do so much networking as you were once doing before.
I did the Zoom thing like everyone else. I went a little crazy with Zooms. I was doing Zoom webinars every week of my own, and I was doing all the other Zooms. I think we all got over Zoom.
Over Zoom.
Yeah. I did a lot of face-to-face events before the pandemic where we hosted events or I went to events. When I had my child, I'd cut out the evening networking a lot. But I still do the breakfast and lunch thing. I want to go to as many events as I can. We're just now getting back to doing face-to-face events, and I think they're really important. I think there's an appetite for that right now. People want to get back out and connect with people.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I think that's great. I mean, even for us, we are face-to-face people.
Yeah.
It's hard to, pick up the phone and call Sally Joe.
I have a story that's going to tie everything we talked about in the last 10 minutes together. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, I would.
I had this idea of doing a face-to-face event. I don't know where it came from, but I was like, we should just get people together and have coffee. We just have coffee on us. And I was thinking about this, and I went to a chamber event. I saw all the people, and you guys were talking about the podcast. I got to get on that podcast.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I should listen to the podcast if I'm going to be on it, right?
Hey, we've got a listener. You heard it here first.
I love it.
So I listened to the first few. I heard Chase Breeden.
Yeah.
And I'm listening in my car. I'm driving. I'm listening to Chase talk.
Yeah.
And I just called him. I was like, "Hey Siri, call Chase Breeden." And it's so weird because my audio system went from playing his voice in the podcast to now he's like live on the phone. And it's like, Chase, I got this idea. I want to do coffee on us, our friends, our business friends, chamber, whatever. Come on down. He's like, I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Put it out on social. You may have seen it. We went to Full Bloom. We're doing it at Full Bloom. We showcased the business with the video. We collaborated. We cross-promoted it between our two networks. And it happens tomorrow. I don't know what the turnout's going to be. We're either going to be broke from buying people coffee or no one's going to show up.
Like, you're going to be getting me a cup of coffee. I'm planning on being there.
But this is my marketing strategy, like in effect. I'm going to events. I'm seeing what people are doing. I'm working with the people I'm meeting at the events. And then we're putting on our own stuff, shining a light on the community, the business community. And then the whole goal of this is to put people who show up together. We're going to buy them coffee, but we're just facilitators.
That's awesome.
And I'm really excited about it.
That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
I hate I can't make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'll be there for the next one. Trust me.
But that's how it comes. That's how networking works. You have these ideas and you just execute on them and see how they work.
You picked a great person, I will say, to partner with.
I agree.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing I do want to highlight, because I think it's really important what you said, is you're intentional about what you do at the events, but you're also intentional about what events you do.
Sure.
And I think sometimes a young professional can get in the trap of they feel like they've got to do it all. And they got to be at everything. And so I think that's really important to hear is, you said I had a kid and I cut out the evening ones because you know what? It's important for me to be at home with my kid in the evening. And so, but you're still successful. You're still growing. You're still doing those things. And so I think that is important to hear too, is you don't have to do it all to be successful. You can be strategic and intentional about what you do, and it can be a lot better than making sure you do it all.
Yeah. And for the young professionals out there, I would encourage them to go to as many as they can when they're starting their career, when they have the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figure out what are the good ones, see who's showing up, and eventually you'll kind of wither it down to the ones that are worth being at. Because you don't know until you get out there and find out.
Absolutely.
So I did a ton of that when I was getting started. And I still do a lot of them, but I've just gotten more selective.
Right. That's awesome. Well, there are 2 questions that we like to bring it home with every episode. And so the first one is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'm going to go with this. I heard this a while ago, and I like it. It's short and sweet. It's plan the work and work the plan. So every time I have a meeting, I have an agenda. When clients come to my office, I show them the agenda. Here's the plan.
Yeah.
We can go off the tracks,
Right.
but we're going to get back on the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But just to have a plan, if it's a meeting or if we talked about a marketing plan, whatever it is, take the time to make the plan.
Mm-hmm.
You made a plan with your neighbors. I'm going to
Yep.
learn my neighbors by writing them down.
Yep.
And then take the time to execute on the plan.
Yeah.
I love that. And then our second question is, what is one thing that you utilize every single day to help better yourself? It could be something business related, or it could be something that is a personal thing.
Yeah.
Just we're just curious about that.
With that, I think about, do you know what a Venn diagram is?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I have this image in my head. I actually drew it on PowerPoint one time, and it's a Venn diagram, and it has health, work, and career. And they overlap in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we've been talking a lot about work today, and we talked a little bit about family day. We didn't talk
Mm-hmm.
about health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you're deficient on any of those, or if you go over too much on one, you're taking away from the other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm always thinking about how can I not keep a little bit in the center.
Yeah.
Am I working too much? Do I need to spend more time on my health? Do I need to spend more time with my family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a challenge that we all have. But just to
Absolutely.
be cognizant that for me, those three things are important. Other people may have a different Venn diagram.
Right. Right.
But that's what I think about a lot, is how can I have balance?
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's good. And I say that's a good visual to think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I pulling it out too much and I've just got this little piece? Because it's like you said, if you don't have that balance, are you really going to
You
be
may be
successful?
crushing it in business and
Yeah.
never see your family, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
your religion is, you're gone off the rails or something there.
Right,
so
right.
to just think, maybe I need more balance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's the visual for me, is the Venn diagram.
That's so
Okay.
good. I love it because I'm a visual person, so
Yeah.
that's going to stick
It's
with
like,
me.
yeah, I know. I was like, this is good. This is gold.
Well, awesome. Neal, thank you so much for joining us here today. We will put your contact information in the
Great.
show notes.
Thanks for
so that
having me.
way,
It's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
thing that you guys are doing. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk, and this has just been wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll say the thing I say every episode, and I tell you every episode, I hate saying it, but please, if you're enjoying this, go rate, review, subscribe. It just helps it get out to more people. Remember, 5-star reviews only. If you got a 1-star review, email that to Dustin@GarnerChamber.com. He'll love to see all those. But thank you guys for tuning in. Neal, thank you for being here.
We
and
appreciate
we'll
it.
Talk to y'all soon. Thanks.
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
That is perfect.
Your cat's breath.
That's a Ralph
smells like-
Wiggum quote.
Ah, okay, okay. I have to use that one. Did you hear that one?